If you're a real estate wholesaler, finding buyers is one of the most important things that you need to get good at in your real estate business. Why? Because you can go out and have amazing marketing. You spend all this time to go out and find a motivated seller willing to sell you the property at a discount. And you have such an amazing deal and you're like, wow, I'm going to make some money. But if you can't find a buyer to take over your contract, you're never going to take advantage of it. And you might have a great deal that you can make $10,000, $20,000, but then you're not able to make that money. And in this video, I'm going to have you watch me go in, pick out some addresses, find the buyers. And I have two tools that I'm going to use. I'm going to share with you how I use those two tools. And these two tools really depends on your level of experience and your budget. Either one would work. One is a little bit more robust than the other. And you're going to see how using these tools will help me when I'm doing deals nationwide to determine if a property is even worth going after to begin with. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to put a property in the contract where now you're going to get a great deal on this property, but nobody is buying in the area. So no matter how great of a deal you would find on this on the property, you're never going to sell it because there's just no activity. Now, my approach with this is very much a sniper approach, not a machine gun approach. So I'm not a fan of posting deals everywhere, right? And the reason for that, and what I mean everywhere, meaning go out and put it on Craigslist and putting it on, on Facebook Marketplace and all over the place. I'm not a fan of that. Why? Because number one is you could have an issue with the seller actually seeing their property. And then coming to you and saying, hey, what's going on here? You're buying, but now I see it. It happens. You stand a chance of another real estate investor potentially knowing where that deal is. And then all of a sudden now they're reaching out to the seller and they're trying to snake the deal away from you. It happens. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful who you talk to about your properties. And then also, when you're doing that machine gun approach, then you're going to be talking to buyers that are just a complete waste of time. They have no clue what's going on. And so you're just going to be wasting your time. The sniper approach is figuring out specifically who are the buyers in that area and then reaching out to them directly, ignoring everybody else. First, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the two different tools and explain to you which are the best ones to use depending on your situation. And then I'm going to use each tool with a variety of different addresses to show you how they work. Now, the first tool is a tool called Propellio. And you can get a free trial if you go to flipanywhere.com/Propellio. You can also click the link in my description. And Propellio has a great cash buyer function. Now, we're only using Propellio to go out and find cash buyers and to identify through that search if, in fact, a property is worth us going after at all. Now, there are other functions inside the app. I have personally never used them. For comping properties, for determining values on properties, we just simply use Zillow. By the way, if you want me to make a video on how to comp properties using Zillow, make a comment and let me know. Chico, Zillow, show me. Now, some people ask me, Chico, what about Propstream? Because everybody says that Propstream is the best tool for everything, including cash buyers. Propstream is a great tool, especially if you're going and looking to find a list of motivated sellers to then skip trace them, cold calling, direct mail, etc. We don't do that. I do digital advertising. So we use Facebook, Google in order to find motivated sellers. So I have no need for a list. However, I have many times attempted to do the same search on Propellio as with Propstream in order to find cash buyers. And it is so much easier, you're going to see in just a minute, to use Propellio versus Propstream. Nothing against Propstream, but for this particular use case, Propellio wins. So I'm here at Propellio. I'm logged in here, and I have 3 addresses that I just picked from a bunch of random leads that we generated. Now, these leads are older leads that my team handled from about a year ago. So these are not live leads. I don't want to do live leads because I know that you are not going to do it. But sometimes people might look at the channel and say, hey, that's a lead that just came in for Chico. Maybe I should give him a call. Don't do that. First property that I have here is one at 2608 Stewart Street, McKittsport, Pennsylvania. Never heard of that place before. I'm going to click on the Google map. And just to give you an idea of where this property is located, as I zoom out, we can see that it is a property that's near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, so it is near a large metro area, just happens to be in the suburb. Now, I'm going to take that property. I'm going to take the link and paste it into Propellio, select the property, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on buyers. Now with buyers, I'm going to click on cash and then I'm going to expand the range. Typically, depending on the location of the property, I'll do say 3 to 3.5 miles. In this scenario, the I'm going to have to go more because this particular property is in the outskirts of the main city. Now, I will now depending on the number that I get here, I may modify that by say changing the minimum number of deals, and then you can see that I have a bunch of properties that show up here that were purchased as real estate investors. All right. Now, the trick with this is whenever you have a property like this, where it's in the outskirts and potentially, the buyer may come from the main city of Pittsburgh, but in this area, there's just not going to be that much activity. So what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this tab here so I don't lose my place. I'm going to go into Pittsburgh and I'm going to just go into somewhere in one of these neighborhoods. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little man here and I'm going to drop him, or man or woman. All right, that one wasn't good. So let me see if I can find a section that has lots of houses. All right, so I know that this street here has houses. So I'm going to drop him there. And I'm just going to pick one of these properties here. And this is 846 Lillian Street. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to Propellio. So what I'm trying to do is and I'm going to just duplicate this here. So then that way I don't lose my place there. So what I'm going to do, go back here and I'm going to search again. And what I'm trying to do is find whenever this situation arises where the property is located, but really the buyers may come from the main city here, I'll find an address in here and then I'll use the search from that point outward. And so then because there might be buyers in this main part of the city that might still buy this property. So if I go here, I go to buyers and I go to cash sales, and then I go to, let's say, 3.5 miles. And I'm just going to wait a second here. I get 6 results. I go further out. Let's say I'm going to go 5 miles out. So I get 11 results. So I would consider going in and also contacting these buyers here in an effort to try to find the buyer for my particular property. So again, you do this when you're located away from the city. You're going to do a search both at the property, but get an address near that main city where the buyer potentially would come from, and then you're going to go ahead and use that. Now let's go ahead and click on another one here. This is 1120 West Hamilton Street. And I'm going to save some of these searches here because I need to go back to that to show you the next part of the video. So this one here, if I zoom out, this is a good example of Kansas City's up at the top. So this is a smaller geographic region. So sometimes investors might say, "Oh, you know what? That's not a property worth my time because it's located in too small of a town." But you don't want to make that analysis on that property that way. You want to use it based on facts. So what again I'm going to do is copy that address, and then I'm going to go back to Propellio, and I'm going to type that address here. Go to cash buyers, cash sales. I'm going to expand out 5 miles. And then I'm going to wait to see what shows up here. I may change the minimum number of deals to just simply 2 deals. And so there's 58 results. Holy cow, that's a lot. So this is a perfect example of a property that you would get and you would think, "Oh, this is a crappy lead." But look at that activity. Look at the number of investor buyers buying in that area. So this is a great, great little market that then you will be able to find buyers. It is a viable lead, or even one that if you do a deal here, you might consider doing some direct mail into that area. Let's look at one more, which is 1306. And we'll go back into Propellio. So this is in Texas. We're going to look at buyers, look at cash sales. Now here, let's look at this, where this is located. So this is a relatively small town. I just zoom out just so I can have an idea of where the next biggest town is. So This is pretty far. It's pretty far toward the border of Texas. Um, there's Midland, for example, Texas. Although it's small, it's quite a robust town. And so with this scenario, I'm going to do the search here. And then typically what I do is look to see what is the next town over. So let's say, for example, if Odessa, Texas, let's see how far it is. It's an hour and 3 minutes. That's a little bit far. Typically, I like to find the next town over that's 30 minutes to determine if I can find buyers from that other town. But we're going to go ahead and do the search here on Rankin. Go ahead and go to cash sales. We're going to go ahead and expand the service area to 5 miles. The fact that the map is showing here is an issue because it's not even showing in the right state. So to me, that's an indication that for whatever reason, it's really not grabbing the address correctly. So I'm just going to take my little man, bring it here, and see if I can grab an address. And if I look around, I mean, this is a pretty desolate town here. So let's look at this here. Okay, so it did grab it. So now you see the map is here. Notice the difference on the other one. The map was just like over Nebraska. So we're here. So I grab this, go to 5 miles out, and then see, I'm going to have to change that to one minimum amount of deal. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. So this is a sign that maybe this particular lead may not be viable. So not only am I using this in order to find buyers, but I'm also using this to find viability within the market. Now, one of the things that you can do as a last check is you can go to Zillow and you can type in the address and you can see in this particular area here, and you zoom out here and you want to see are there a lot of properties for sale. Let me reset my filters here, and over here there's not anything for sale in this area. Let me remove the boundary. There's nothing. If I look at solds and I go back and I say, hey, sold over the last 6 months, right? There's nothing. So this is a town that's an example of it's really too small. There's not that much going on. There's no cash buyers. So no matter how great of a deal you were able to get on this particular property, chances are you're going to have a very difficult time in selling this. Whereas the other two are more viable. So that is how we use Propellio. Now, let me go ahead and go through the second tool. All right. So the second tool that we use is a tool called Investor Lift. Now, Investor Lift is it's really a more of a viable option. It's really a more professional grade tool, but it's really a viable option if you've already done deals. Because the challenge is going to be that if you haven't done deals, this tool, Investor Lift, is more money. You're paying for the year, and it is again, it's more robust, but you are going to pay significantly more than Propellio. And so if you're just starting out and you're in limited budget, you're better off taking your money and spending it on marketing, not on the tools. And so therefore, Propellio is better. Investor Lift would be better once you get your first 2 to 3 deals under your belt. Then maybe you take some of the profits that you've made and roll them into using this tool. But let me share with you how this tool works using and looking up the same addresses. Let's look up the same address that we looked up here, the one that we couldn't find any buyers for. And I'm going to go ahead and bring Investor Lift here. So let's come here. And then I'm going to go into a section here called God Mode, that you go in and you're able to now take the property and you're able to expand the service area. And here they also don't show any buyers. So here there's really no buyers. So there's no difference in the two tools in terms of finding buyers. Let's go to the other one. This is the other one, 2608 Stewart. I'm going to take that, put it into Investor Lift here. So this is the results of that property, 2608 Stewart Street. Now, here's the difference with Investor Lift. Number one is I can go further out. So whereas with the other one, I had to kind of use two different addresses, here I can go further out from the subject property. That's the subject here with the little house here. Now, as I scroll down here, there's a lot more information available. I can sort by buyer score. Buyer score tells me out of all the buyers, which are the ones that are buying the most properties. So obviously you want to go after the ones that have the most properties that they're buying, because those are the ones that are potentially the experienced investors and would give you an offer on their property and quickly buy, versus the other one you're going to go after and try to find those other investors, but you don't know who's the big players or not. So here, now the other thing is you can see that some of them have phone numbers. So then now it's a little bit easier for you because you can very quickly go in and try to get a hold of these people without having to do the research. Now, sometimes the numbers are not correct, but I'm going to show you here in just a minute how we do the research to find the buyers. So this is why this tool is so robust, is because of this capability. And again, there's a lot of other things here with this particular tool, such as, like, for example, gives you a city map. You can do city and county maps and be able to see, like, hey, who are the biggest buyers in any, just a lot of information here. But right now we're really just focused on our ability to find buyers. Let's look at the other one at 1120 West Hamilton, and let's see what happens here. So I go into the tool. I'm going to go ahead and set that, set that address, update results, and then I'm going to go ahead and go out. Typically, I go out 5 miles. When you see this, now you can see that, hey, there is investor activity. Then I'm going to scroll down. The buyer score one just means that it's a profile of somebody that purchased a property, but that all they had the information is about one property. If you then sort by buyer score, then you want to sort so that you can get to the ones that have the most numbers. So 75 could mean that they have purchased 75 properties, right? And so then we're going to use one of these as a test for us to get a hold of. But you can see some of them have phone numbers already. So the investor lift, the same as Propellio, can tell you if a property, number one, has buyers around that area, so you know whether or not to take a chance on it. But also, most importantly, once you have it on the contract, then to go out and find those buyers without having to post it on Craigslist or any of those other sites. I'm going to put the link in the description for both. With Propellio, again, you get a free trial. With Investor Lift, you get some bonuses and extras if you go and you purchase through my link. On either one, I do make a commission for referring them. However, even if they didn't pay me a commission, I would still refer them. Why? Because I use these tools. These are the tools that I use in my business. And so I wouldn't recommend anything to you unless we personally used it. Now, regardless, whether or not we were using Propellio or even Investor Lift, sometimes we have to go out and find who these people are and get the phone numbers. So how do we do that? There's a couple ways that we can get the phone numbers. Now, first of all, if it's a corporation, we're going to use opencorporates.com and some Google searches in order to see if we can find the information about the corporation. Let's use one of these as an example. Ozarks house buyers. An easy thing that you can do is just do a Google search. And there they are right now. So that was too easy. All right. You can get all the information from there. Not a big deal. Let's look at another one. Maybe we can find a more difficult one. J. Miller's Properties LLC. Go here, search J. Miller Properties LLC. Okay, a little bit too easy. I'm trying to find a hard one for you, but maybe that's a good thing for you to know that, oh, it's not that hard, Chico. I'm making it harder than I need to. Ozark is buying a lot of properties there. Maybe you should go out and do some marketing there. See if you can find some. Streamline Investors LLC. All right. So the first site that shows up is Open Corporates. Right now, they do have a couple of different profiles. Streamline Investing LLC. So here, you want to make sure that if you're, like, say, for example, Connected Investors, Facebook is a great one. So I would click on here and see if they have a Facebook profile. And let's say I go Open Corporates, because I said that Open Corporates, let's say you couldn't find anything about anybody. So now you're left with Open Corporates. But let's look at Facebook, Streamline Investing LLC. So, their website is here, and the phone number is there. So how easy is that? You just get a hold of them and say, hey, I see that you're buying properties. Would you be interested in buying mine? Now, if you had to go through Open Corporates, then what you can do is you can see who the directors are. Edward Faxon is the agent. And then you can click on the articles over organization here. Sometimes they show up. Let's see what this link is here. Oh, that's Open Corporates. So this is a registered address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Google that. When I Google that, that address shows up as a single family residence. So that means that then that potentially is the residence of that particular investor. So then I go ahead and I search that property in the public records, and the name of that individual is the owner of that property. So then I know that that's a person, but I don't have a phone number. So then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll enter that information into 100% people search, right? So let's say I'm going to go in here and type in Edward Faxon, and I'll type in the city where I believe, where he lives. And then I'm going to get these particular entries. And so let's say that if I decide now here, what you have to do is you may have to click through a few of these. I don't know who this guy is, but let's say I'm looking for an address that matches. So there goes the address that matches. You see that? And then now, if I scroll down, I have an email. I have previous addresses here. And however, I don't have any phone numbers. What I can do is if I really felt that this guy was a real buyer for my property, then I would just simply skip trace that individual, get the phone number, and just do a single person skip. And then now you're going to reach out to them. Now, the difference again with Investor Lift is that in the example of this company, I can click on here and it's telling me that who the agents are, right? So I could do company agents and click on that, and it shows me the here, and it shows me the information, and I can actually skip trace that right from the app, and then get the phone numbers, and I can call them right there on the spot. That's why some of these show up because people have already done that. So the way it works is that if somebody was wanting to find out who this person was, they may have done the skip tracing already. The minute you do it, it becomes available for the next person. So it's kind of like a community of people all working together, vetting these buyers and compiling the data. So that's why it's so powerful. With Propellio, you just have to kind of do that legwork on your own versus doing it like this with Investor Lift. That's a bit more streamlined. What I did in this video is I showed you that I took 3 random addresses. I found the buyers that were actively buying for 2 of them. And not only that, but I validated those leads that they were good leads, even though they were in towns that I never heard about before. Then there was a third lead that we did the research and we figured out that it wasn't even worth our time in order for us to put that property in the contract, even if we got the most amazing deal, because we wouldn't be able to find a buyer for that property. And that's very important because you want to be able to focus precisely on the deals that you have the best opportunity and the best chance of selling. So again, the links in the description are here for all of those. Let me know if you found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions I can answer in a subsequent video by posting them in the comments. And most importantly, this methodology is built for nationwide wholesaling. So that way you can go out and get leads anywhere in the country and not have to worry about finding a buyer. If you want to know more about nationwide wholesaling, there's a video that's going to pop up here or there. Click on that video next, and then you're going to see exactly how that model works and see if it just may be the best opportunity for you as a real estate wholesaler.